taking place.
Yeah.
Over 1,000.
They migrated down. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen
Essex Park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen them migrate like that. I've been in the middle of
They
it.
fill the town.
Yeah.
Just.
I've been in Garden, Montana, and some of them are in the park, and they come out of the park, go away, so same thing, yeah. So you must have been hunting in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, they migrate out.
Catherine doesn't. Check you. Yeah.
You want it on?
If the camera's not working, but people ask, the audio is working.
Time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call to order the Town of Copper Canyon regular scheduled council meeting Monday, January 9th, 2023, 7 p.m. If you all please stand and face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. First order of business tonight is public input. Anyone in public may speak on an agenda or non-agenda item during this at this time. You're allowed 3 minutes. Anything you would like an additional time, you may be granted that by consensus of council. Is there anyone to speak tonight? No. Next item is staff, mayor, or council report. Council, I don't have anything to report tonight. Everything's pretty much status quo from our last report on my behalf. Anyone else? Councilmember?
Mayor, I have an item of note in regards to ESD and the issues surrounding the Argyle Fire District and the ESD 1. Just wanted to update everybody on what's going on with their board. The county commissioners were at their last meeting, which was on 4 January, this past Wednesday. They swore in our new fire chief, Ricky Vaughn. Some of us who have been here, he's been here at a couple of our meetings, and we've gotten to meet him. Very nice gentleman. He was previously in Carrollton, so he's familiar with our area, and I am sure he's going to do a fabulous job. He's got a tough job ahead of him, but with our support, I think it's going to be something that he can handle. There is a new ESD board that was appointed by the county commissioners, Mr. Sheldon Gilbert, who is now the board president, Keith Mashburn, who is the board vice president, Richard Merrill, also a new board member. So those are 3 new board members on the ESD board. The individuals that they replaced were John Donahue, Steve Harris, and James Price. Mr. Cliff Travis was reappointed to the board. He was on there before, and he remains on the board. And Mr. Jim Carter moved from president to secretary. And all this information comes from the Cross Timbers Gazette and other readily available sources. It's not that we have any on anything that's going on. As you can all imagine, the county commissioners are very busy trying to handle the issues that are facing the ESD. But of course, we continue to support the men and women of the ESD in whatever they need, as they support us when we need them. That's all I have, Mayor.
Can I say something?
We're actually trying to, there was a public input. We're actually trying to be sure that whether they have meetings on Wednesdays now, quite a few of them, and whether the city administrator will be there, or the mayor, deputy mayor pro tem will be there. If they can't make it, then I will attend. So there'll always be a representative at these board meetings now on behalf of the council for the city. Thank you. If you'd like to come and approach the podium and click the name.
I'm Nancy Henry. I live at 761 Lonesome Dove Lane. I was at the meeting on Wednesday night and I found out they're not appointed, they're elected. And They made a correction to that, and so each one was elected to the office and voted on by the fellow board members. And that was something new to me. I thought they were all appointed also by the commissioner. I was just going to let you know that. They do elect them. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else, council? On the other items? Hearing none, the consent agenda, any item on the consent agenda may be removed by any member of council for individual discussion or consideration. Anything would like to be removed, council? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve. There was a motion by the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilmember Andrews. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries. Next action and discussion item is discussion, consideration, taking action regarding adopting the 2018 fire code and all matters incidental related hereto. Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, sir, this is yours.
Mayor, as you directed a while back for us to look into adoption of the International Fire Code, the 2018 version, we've been working on that for quite a while. Most recently, Captain Gwen, who has been gracious enough to come tonight so he can answer questions, should there be any. He's Deputy Fire Marshal. He does a lot of the inspections and is intimately familiar with the fire code. So instead of just myself trying to answer questions that I might respond in error because I'm not as familiar with the fire code as somebody in the business, I've asked him to come. Sir, if you would just go to the podium and we'll see if anybody's got any major questions. I passed this out to the council, the result of Larry and mine's work with Captain Gwen and Chief Brady Beard. We all got together several times and worked on the changes that we preferred on issues that affected our town. We had a twofold goal, primarily to ensure that the fire code did not in any way harm any of our citizens, whether it be financially or anything in the nature of an overdue burden. That wasn't necessary. We also, of course, were keenly aware that the idea is to provide safety for the citizens as well as the firemen and women that go in to a burning building or anything of that nature. And I think we were able to come to a really good agreement on the issues, and I've passed that all to you. Hopefully everybody's had a good chance to look at it. The majority of the issues that are written on here primarily affect commercial properties.
Yes, sir.
There's a few items that would impact our citizens, and I think we've done quite a bit to mitigate those. I'll just open it up if that's all right for anybody to ask questions about concerns they may have or issues that they might want to look at. But overall, I think we did a good job of getting that processed so we can get it online.
Observation or any question? For clarification. First of all, thank you for all the work you've done, Rudy and Larry. And Mr. Glenn, this is really great.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of work, and I know there's a lot of complicated language and a lot of potential complexities. So thank you for narrowing, us into the issues and getting it properly scoped out and written for the town. Question that I had was, if you're not connected to the municipal water system, you're exonerated from having the sprinkler system requirement. Is that correct? I saw that in there, and I was curious.
Yes, it's all written in there. If you're on well water, that is one of the, you're talking about well water,
Yeah.
right? Yes, it's in that building code that you're not required.
So you're not.
On residential, yes, sir.
Does it have an insurance implication if you're not connected at all?
No, the insurance wise, that's all have to be based, if you're talking about insurance policies or insurance company, that's going to be all up to your insurance company. What you're seeing there is what we adopted as far as the 2018 IFC. Now, it's going to vary from town to town and city to cities. I know that the Denton County Fire Marshal Office for Denton County requires 6. Now, if you look at the building code for 2018, generic umbrella is 12,000. We narrowed down to 5,000. We can change whatever we need or we want to whatever fulfill what we think. So for the fire district, we think 5,000 was our goal for all. As far as that, it's been working well. I mean, we really don't have any issues. All the new development that you're seeing that come through Copper Canyon, even though it was still at 2009, we've been pushing that 2018, and it's been going really well. We don't have any issues with any contractor or developers questioning us. So as far as everything else, it works. It works great. But the question on that 5,000 or sprinkler system, that's going to be on insurance policy or insurance company. I don't think anyone's going to ever come back and ask for it. I've never had a call from an insurance company saying that why isn't there a requirement on well water? Yes, sir. GPM and pressure. Yes. 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 Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to run a system, it's most of the system out here. If you look at hooking up the hydrant, you minimum 60 PSI. And a lot of these are the 500 and up on GPM, 500 gallon per minute and up. So if you're on well, you're not going to have what you need. And there's no way for them to design a system for one head to work out of the whole system. So it's pointless.
You have to go through the pump, then you got to put it into a 5,000, a holding tank, then you have to go to a pressure tank.
Yes, sir.
A pressure valve.
That is correct.
Yeah, so, yeah. On the renovation side of it, I think you covered that, Rudy. The requirements was, they were going to, the way it originally read is that if you renovated your home and you got to 5,000 square feet, you had to put in a sprinkler system. And now what did we do?
Well, that's basically correct. One of the biggest things that we saw that impacted the folks that live here, which is primarily residential, and that's primarily why that was our focus. The code became fairly restrictive in terms of the square footage of your home and the sprinkler requirements. Where it came in to play for our current residents is that if let's say that you have a 4,000 square foot home and you want to add 1,500 square feet as an addition, now you were coming under the requirements to have a sprinkler system put in retroactively, which became a really big problem from my perspective to any homeowner because of the expense involved in putting in a sprinkler system. So we worked to try to find a solution. And what we were able to do was to grandfather anybody who's already in town, already has a dwelling. I believe the numbers are you can add up to 50% square footage as an addition to your home. Even if you go over 5,000 square feet, you get a one-time exemption and you're not required to retroactively install a suppression system. And that was purely due to the prohibitive cost of doing that in a retroactive sense. We thought that would harm our citizens. And so that's why we came to an agreement.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it just there's a lot of older homes here and they're big homes. And like I said, based on the original IFC that we agreed for the whole district was 35%. We went up to 50 to try to accommodate everybody here in the town now. Like he said, it was just a one-time deal grandfathered in. So that way they don't come back a year down the road and add another 1,500. Now you're going to have a sprinkler system.
We're going to have to maintain that list of residences, or you maintain the list of residences that are grandfathered. Who's going to maintain that list?
I think the permitting process is going to be.
Yeah, when folks come in for permits, we know when how long the residence has been there. And that's when I think this is all going to come into play.
Right.
I suspect that any homes that are already being built, say in Vickery or coming in the Williams project, those are already coming in under the 2018 fire.
Yes, sir. Everything in the Vickery and every development and any homes that's built here in Copper Canyon, we've been enforcing in 2018. So that way we're up to date.
So just to be clear, so we're going to maintain in the town of Copper Canyon as a part of the permitting process those that have already been grandfathered. So if I have a house, I needed an exemption, I can get my one-time exemption. Let's say I sell the house and somebody else comes in later and wants to do the same.
It's a one-time exemption straight across.
We'll have a record of that.
Yes, and another thing too, is once the permit's pulled, that should go to Denton County CAD. They should have record. We can always look back at that when that remodel, the add-on was done. So that's kind of like a backup plan. So we know.
Yeah, I would suggest we have our own records because CAD changes their conducives and they lose records.
Yes, sir. Always best to have the record here at the town.
Then I understand if you grandfather in let's say my house or anybody's house. And I choose not to exercise this, I don't want to do this, but at some point, next year, 5 years, I decide to sell the house. So that grandfather follows my sale of my house. I'm not required just because we changed owners to bring it up to spec, as you say, or so the grandfather selling would be in there as well as the one-time renovation. The new buyer might retroactively act on his behalf. Am I hearing you correctly?
Only if you're still under that code. Let's just say 2024 is when the new IFC will be out. We have to wait for COG to come out with their changes. Then we adopt that, and then we make those changes according to the town's agreement. Now, let's just say now, Mr. Mayor and the city council said, we're not going to do this 50% one time anymore. We're changing that now. So if they're going to build later on, and if they're in that new code, they have to follow that code.
Whatever code we adopt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But once you build according to that code, let's say you did the add-on and you did that 50%, and it's that one-time grandfathered in, 20 years down the road, no one can come back and say, you have to add sprinkler because you got over 5,000.
What about the sale of my property? In other words, is that grandfather?
That is grandfathered, yes, sir. If you build under that, if you build under the
If the city has
2018.
changed it, then we have to change with the sale. Am I hearing that right?
It's gonna be with the house.
It follows the deed. It follows the deed. It follows.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a better way of saying it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is why I was very clear, but let's keep records because there's a lot of potential for confusion. And when you don't want these kinds of expenses, people get attorneys involved. Let's just be clean, keep a record of it. Anybody that has an exception gets that record maintained by the town. We can hopefully match up with what you have. Chad, if they have it, that's great. But at the end of the day, I think we have to have our own record.
Yeah, we would always recommend that the town has that.
Well, I too want to say thank you for all the hard work you guys have done on this on behalf of myself and my family and our future citizens out here, because it is something we need to have in place.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments, council? Hold on. Well, not the way I typically would do this. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, is square footage, like, livable square footage, or if I have to shop?
All square.
Anything with-
connected.
Anything under roof cover.
Under roof, yes.
Anything under roof cover, garages, porches, garage patios, it doesn't matter. Anything else, council?
Mayor, I just want to add, and just to clarify so that folks listening to this later can understand, we didn't just ad hoc come up with these ideas. This document, the original document that we started working with was submitted to us from the North Central Texas Council of Governments, the Fire Advisory Board, and of course, the ESD. They had all brainstormed. The actual experts in fire prevention and protection were the ones who initially dove into the 2018 code, which is a book about the size of a phone book, for those of you that remember what a phone book was. So it's a very large ruling. And the ideas that were brought forward to us came from higher ups who are experts in the field. We massaged it from the perspective of how is this going to affect the citizens, the homeowners. And there are quite a few items that are in here that have to do with commercial, not as big of an impact on us currently. But so the majority of our perspective was, how's this going to affect the homeowner in the future, whether it be an addition. Another big item that was changed, originally the fire code required steel pipes to be used in the
Sprinkler system.
in the sprinkler system, and the cost of that was extremely high. So we were able to get Captain Wen to help us out with that, and so now we can install CPVC instead in the homes that require it. So those are that was our perspective, and that's where this came from.
That's a
So
big expense.
Most of the towns around that you can massage this and add and change things, and you go with it generally, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you made a few little changes. in
Yes,
this-
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we started all this back in 2018. Chief Lugo was the fire marshal at the time. And well, he moved on. He took a bigger chief job down south. So I've taken over, and North Lake adopted this pretty much exact code, but we made changes to it. back in 2022, January 2022. So with the approval tonight, I'd like to go in effect February 1st of 23. And our next revision, it will be the 2024 IFC, but it won't go in effect sometime in 2025.
Council, any other questions? If not, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Castillo, I'd entertain a motion from you because you did a lot
I
of
do
work
have
on
a
this.
question.
Okay.
Just reading through this, the red apparently was already approved by Copper Canyon with previous fire codes. So does that mean it's already an ordinance,
This takes,
or this is the new?
this is, the-
So I would recommend, if it's possible, to make an adjustment that recreational fires don't necessarily be prohibited on non-Denton County burn days. Today was a non-burn day, I'm pretty sure, which if you want to have a little fire outside, it's allowed Denton County wise, if I'm right. But this would, if I look at it the way it's written, prohibit a small recreational fire on a non-Denton County burn day, whereas right now it's exempt.
yeah. So would you follow, it would follow the Denton County
If we could
Fire
just,
Marshal?
retroactively go.
kinda
to
like
Denton
fireworks.
County's rules.
And we could make that, yes, we can make that change if the towns approve it.
Okay.
Page 6.
Especially contained fire, like the fire
Yeah.
pits and stuff like that.
I mean, this would prohibit you having a little fire in your backyard on a non-burn day, which a lot of the days are non-burn days because they're more geared toward bonfires, trash burning, et cetera, which I understand. but it's more-
Yes, if you do not want to follow the Denton County burn ban and their rules and regs, and the city or the town decided to have their own, then we need to have that in there, amend and be responsible for.
I think that Denton County, if I read it right, allows a recreational fire on a non-burn day as long as it's not a burn ban, countywide burn ban.
That is correct.
And
Yes.
so just following the same rules that Denton County has with regards to that.
I'll leave that one up to you, sir.
Captain Gwen, this is section 307.6. I was under the understanding that, for example, I have a fire pit in my backyard, that this did not apply to that. Was I incorrect?
Fire pit, the question is, are you burning gas or are you burning wood?
Gas.
Gas, it really doesn't apply.
Okay, so
It's
only-
really wood.
it's
because
wood
of the amber.
The ashes. and the
Ashes,
ambers
yes.
and Stuff floating around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In my experience, it was a very similar situation years ago in Bartonville because you can have fireworks in Bartonville. However, we wrote the ordinance where it only could have fireworks as long as there was no burn bans by Denton County in effect. And so this would follow the same guide, similar to that.
Well, there's a difference between a non-burn day.
Non-burn day or a
ban.
burn ban, right, yeah.
And this says on a non-burn day.
Day.
So I would.
So the
strike
language would have to be
recreational
on a burn ban.
Yeah.
The language should be on burn ban, period,
Not day.
not day, burn ban. Would you would you be willing to amend that?
Oh, absolutely. That certainly is something that we need to fine tune and make sure that we get that properly phrased so that, again, people aren't harmed. Again, we're trying to balance safety of core property and everything else that surrounds us. We do have quite a bit of wooded area. So the idea is to change that one particular section to speak about burn bans. Correct, Chase?
That would work.
All right, well, if everybody's up for it, I make a motion that with that change, we otherwise accept the 2018 International Fire Code as worked between ESD and Larry and myself.
I have a motion by the deputy mayor friend to approve the 2018 fire code with one amendment to the allow for burn day recreational fires, but no recreational fires on burn bans. Is there a second? I have a second. Mayor, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous motion carries. Is that clear enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Captain Gwen, thank you so much for all your help. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next item is good. Full council, this was consideration for extending the parking lot here at Town Hall. We found out there was some trees that are in jeopardy if we move forward with the plan we have. So the city engineer is relooking at that. So this item has been tabled for a future date. Anything to be put on the next agenda? Council members? Hearing none, time being 7:25, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Councilmember Andrews, second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.